Grieving families share their frustration with gang culture in Baltimore, saying children and grandchildren were caught up with the wrong crowds. Tonight, Fox 45 News asked city leaders what's being done to stop gang activity. A big step in the redevelopment of Harbor Place, how recent events at the Inner Harbor may be complicating the safety plan. And M&T Bank Stadium is here to stay. Details on the Ravens' new naming rights deal, and some team legends return to Baltimore for it today.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Another teen in Baltimore continues to fight for his life tonight after he was shot in the head last night in Cherry Hill. Fox 45 News has also been hearing from the family of a 12-year-old shot and killed, saying the city needs to do more to protect children.
My grandson was killed like a dog in the street. I would never, ever be able to touch him again and tell him how much I love him. And it's heartbreaking.
They still was dragging my baby to the streets because he was a minor. The parents is planning funerals for their kids, not planning birthday parties.
Tonight, we have team coverage as the violence continues. Mackenzie Frost continues her investigation into safe streets as Mayor Scott comes to its defense. But we begin with Maxine Stryker, who's pushing city leaders on gang violence after we heard from Richard's family.
Jalen Richards' family says he was involved in crime for a few years and they were working hard to get him away from the wrong crowd that he had been hanging out with. But that grip of gang violence was tight.
My son's life ran out, like I said, to the streets of Baltimore City.
A 12-year-old boy's life cut short Saturday on the streets of Baltimore City. Jalen Richards' family says he was on house arrest for theft charges, but they say it's all because he was hanging out with the wrong crowd.
They still was dragging my baby to the streets because he was a minor.
Patty Hawkins says her son was in a similar grip of gang violence, being influenced by adults in Baltimore.
It's easier to have children sell drugs for you than you to get a charge yourself to sell drugs. For me to know that my son was struggling with keeping himself out of a gang and didn't know how to communicate with me, that really hurt.
Experts say many gangs have emerged in Baltimore over the years.
What we've seen is that a significant amount of the homicides and the non-fatal shootings that are in Baltimore City are driven by those drug trafficking organizations. And sometimes they're killing and shooting at rival members. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's also innocent bystanders who are just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That was John Lenzer, deputy to the U.S. Attorney in Maryland in 2021, admitting gangs are a problem in Baltimore. Federal and state law enforcement have both said they fuel a lot of violence.
Gun violence, driven mostly by drug trafficking and area gangs, as well as overdose deaths caused by deadly drugs like fentanyl, have been our main problems across Maryland.
Just this week, the U.S. Attorney's Office announced a Cherry Hill gang member was sentenced to 21 years in prison for crimes including murdering a rival gang member. And in December 2022, Baltimore area MS-13 gang members were also indicted for murder. Months prior, 12 members of a criminal enterprise who called themselves the ABG, operating out of West Baltimore, were arrested for murder.
They don't affiliate around symbols, colors and things like that. It's really more of a business organization that is assembled around drugs and violence or other criminal activity.
But at the time, city leaders weren't quick to label the violence as gang-related.
It's the social network of people who were selling drugs.
Baltimore Police Commissioner Michael Harrison instead calling the group a social network.
The fear of city leaders to confront these problems are the reason these problems are perpetuated.
Rhetoric professor Richard Vatt says city leaders are avoiding the problem, much like they avoided our questions this week, asking if there's a trend of adults using children to commit crime and if there's a gang problem.
Your questions are quite relevant, quite material, and to answer those questions, they have to admit that they simply will not act in a serious way to curtail this criminality.
We had sent those questions to Mayor Brendan Scott as well as Police Commissioner Michael Harrison several times this week with no response. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Baltimore police announced an arrest in a deadly quadruple shooting early this month in northeast Baltimore. Marvell Worsley has been arrested in Falston, 15 miles from where police say he shot at his neighbor, injuring her and killing 3 other family and friends on April 1st. Now, court documents reveal the homeowner and Worsley had an ongoing dispute over parking and his music being too loud. And the shooting occurred when a couple of victims tried to talk to Worsley about it. He's now facing murder, attempted murder, and gun charges. Mary?
Kai, thank you. Well, Mayor Brandon Scott is doubling down on his community violence intervention plans already in place, including safe streets. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has an update on our investigation into the program from the Accountability Desk.
We're investing in improving intervention efforts through safe streets to mediate conflicts and stop them from escalating to violence.
That's Mayor Brandon Scott during his State of the City address on Monday, making it clear Safe Streets is here to stay. But as you know, we've been investigating the organization, transparency, and accountability, as well as the effectiveness of the Safe Streets program for more than a year and a half. And that brings us back here to the whiteboards. These are the 10 different Safe Streets locations, and we know that the management system of them are changing after the mayor made those announcements, consolidating to just 2 community-based organizations overseeing all 10 locations. LifeBridge and Catholic Charities now overseeing the implementation of the Safe Streets program in all of the different locations, but it's done all with the oversight of the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, or MONSE. Shantae Jackson is the director of MONSE, and we know that that also means she oversees the implementation of the Safe Streets program. And remember that State of the City address from the mayor on Monday? Well, he touted a report we've been waiting for.
An external evaluation from Hopkins demonstrated the impact that sites like Safe Streets right here in Cherry Hill has on reducing homicides and non-fatal shootings by 22 and 23% on average.
Mayor Scott doesn't mention the fact that the city paid Hopkins nearly $150,000 to complete that study. The findings do note that not every single location saw a reduction in gun violence. The mayor's also touting the number of Safe Streets mediations completed. And that brings us to some of our questions that still remain unanswered. How is a mediation defined? We also keep asking the city for the names of the violence interrupters, but the city says that providing that information will put those employees at risk. Who's ensuring the workers are doing what they're getting paid to do? And how is that accountability being done? We'd love to talk with Shantae Jackson, the director of MONSE, about those questions and the entire Safe Streets program, but she's refused to sit down with us for an interview for more than a year. We're also still reviewing hundreds of pages of contracts between the city and these community-based organizations operating Safe Streets, so we're not done digging for answers. At the Accountability Desk, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, the man accused of leading Baltimore County Police on a days-long manhunt is set to stand trial on November 2nd. David Linthicum is facing multiple charges, including attempted murder, and was denied pretrial release today. The manhunt for Linthicum started February 8th after Baltimore County Police were called to his home. His father told police his son was suicidal. As officers closed in, Linthicum allegedly shot an officer and escaped. Linthicum is also accused of shooting an officer, critically injuring that officer before he was eventually caught in Falston on the 10th. Well, new developments in the effort to revamp Harbor Place. The Baltimore Development Corporation officially takes over the lease this week, promising an emphasis on public safety. This comes just 2 weeks after a large, chaotic crowd prompted this police response on a weeknight. A few days later, 2 teens were shot along Pratt Street. An economist tells Fox 45 News people need to feel safe at the Inner Harbor for the project to be successful.
This needs to be akin to something that will bring people back to Baltimore, including all those suburbanites. If people feel safe in a particular part of Baltimore City, they will still come, even if other parts remain quite dangerous.
Well, the development group says it has been working with the private sector and City Hall to improve safety, and it will be a priority as the project moves ahead. Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown is writing a letter to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, calling on them to recall several Hyundai and Kia models over theft concerns. Brown says Hyundai and Kia are failing to address safety issues, which is putting lives at risk. He says the companies are putting the burden of safety on the owners rather than taking proactive steps. Well, it is not summer quite yet, but it sure feels like it. And with this warmer weather, an announcement about the Maryland State Fair. It will be back for 3 consecutive weekends starting August 24th through the 27th. There will be food, animals, exhibits from across the state. Details on ticket sale dates, prices, and attractions will be coming soon this summer. Well, coming up, devastation in Oklahoma. What's left behind as tornadoes kill at least 3 people.
And a beautiful evening around here. 7 p.m., 80 degrees, dropping down into the 60s by 9 and 11. Could be threatening record warmth, though, for tomorrow. And there's also now a code orange air quality alert for some of us. We'll get into all of it coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Actor Alec Baldwin will not face manslaughter charges for his role in a deadly 2021 shooting on a movie set. Prosecutors are dropping the involuntary manslaughter charge. Baldwin was rehearsing a scene for the Western film Rust when the gun in his hand fired, killing cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Now, Baldwin says he didn't pull the trigger. It's not clear if charges will be dropped against the weapons supervisor for the film. Mary?
I have no windshield. The helicopter's beat up. We are trying to make it to Paul's Valley and land.
Wow, extreme weather conditions in Oklahoma as large hail almost took out a helicopter mid-air. Lethal tornadoes carved through the area, leaving at least 3 people dead. You can see the entire roof of a high school gym just taken out. Victor Park from our Sinclair sister station in Oklahoma City has been in the town of Cole all day and gives us a look at the damage right now.
The cleanup effort here in Cole, Oklahoma is just getting started. Let's show you the scene right now. This is a home that the second floor of it has basically been torn apart. A lot of that debris is scattered across this area. Unfortunately, this is not the only home. As we pan to the left, you'll see another house over there partially collapsed. Unfortunately, 2 people have died in this area. In this home, however, I have been talking to the family there, and they were able to take shelter. But beyond that, you have to deal with this kind of debris scattered across the roadway and other areas. Some of these kinds of woods have nails sticking out of it, creating a dangerous situation. Unfortunately, this was not the only system that tore through this area. Shawnee, Oklahoma, also dealing with destruction there. And on top of that, there was a lot of hail in the Oklahoma City metro area. So the cleanup effort continues, but a difficult situation for a lot of people in this area. Reporting here in Cole, Oklahoma, I'm Victor Park.
Well, Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers here now. Jonathan, it seems like just such an active start to tornado season across the nation.
Yeah, and unfortunately, but really, this is the time of year that you see it in those portions of the country, like down in the Midwest and portions of the Great Plains, starts there. And then by summertime, we start getting our severe weather, especially around here. So again, we're going to keep our eyes and ears peeled for that. Now, for us, it's just a nice warm-up that's on the way. But that next weather maker will be coming. Not as cool overnight. Near record warmth for tomorrow. Mid to upper 80s, by the way, just issued as a code orange air quality alert for those with pre-existing respiratory issues. The very young, the elderly, those that may have heart problems, breathing problems, that type of thing. That's going to be for tomorrow afternoon. So keep that in mind. And that is going to be north and west of the Beltway, including places like Carroll County, down into Howard County, northern Baltimore County, and Harford County. And then showers and a cooler second half of the weekend to come. Even on Saturday, it's going to start cooling down, but you'll really feel it by Sunday. Here in Baltimore right now, it's 80 degrees on the Toyota Eastern Harbor Skycam. Taking a beautiful look at the Stadium District, where the O's are going to be back in their hometown tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening at 7:05. And it looks like a nice game time forecast. Going to be warm. Winds out of the east at 5. Humidity a little higher today at 41%, so helping to alleviate the fire danger, the extreme fire risk that we've been seeing the past couple of days. Temperatures near 70 into the 70s along the Chesapeake Bay. Away from the Bay waters, we're still well into the 80s, so it's shorts and short sleeves weather continuing. Temperatures running anywhere between about 5 to 15 degrees above where they were just 24 hours ago. Here in Baltimore, we're 6 degrees warmer. 80 now in Baltimore after getting into the low 80s this afternoon. Mid to upper 80s just down to our south and west. I'm expecting some of those will work in for tomorrow ahead of the next weather maker. And this is what we've been talking about. This is the same one that gave Oklahoma all the problems last night, yesterday afternoon. Tornado watches now for portions of the Chicago metro area, and severe thunderstorm watches south of that, all the way down to almost the Gulf Coast. So nice weather turns warmer ahead of this, and then the showers and potential thunderstorms come our way into Saturday likely, and then the cooler air is waiting in the wings. I think by Sunday, high temperatures could be struggling in the 60s around here. So the future scan says overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning, 10 p.m. we're in the 60s. Baltimore 62 at Cockeysville, dropping into the 50s, better than the upper 40s we woke up to this morning. By 8 a.m. early tomorrow morning, Eastern Shore all the way to Baltimore in the 50s, and then nice size recovery by tomorrow afternoon as we get back into the 80s, probably 70s right near the water, just like today, but everybody else in the mid to upper 80s tomorrow afternoon. 55, mostly clear, not as cool tonight. Tomorrow we're at 87, partly cloudy, very warm. The record standing at 88 for tomorrow afternoon. Coming up in the exclusive 10-day forecast, I'll let you know beyond the rain and the cooler temperatures what's going to happen all the way into next weekend. Stick around in 2 minutes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
That is a big tornado. Dramatic video of Wednesday's Oklahoma tornadoes as meteorologist James Bryant chased them through Cole and Shawnee. Multiple deaths are now blamed on the storms. Oh! While in Iowa, the hail was so big that it broke the windshield of storm chaser Brett Adair's truck.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Pedestrian deaths are up across the nation, but a company in Oregon is exploring some new technology to add another layer of protection on the road. Savannah Welch from our Sinclair sister station in Portland explains.
Even during the day, pedestrian safety is a serious problem. Portland saw 32 pedestrians killed in crashes last year. Safety becomes even worse at night or in the fog when it's hardest for drivers to see. But one company says thermal imaging can change the game.
Thermal cameras see heat, not light, and so they are the best technology to be able to detect a pedestrian.
I spoke with Ezra Merrill of FLIR, a company based in Wilsonville. FLIR has been manufacturing thermal imagers for over 40 years, and it's actively working to make this technology effective in vehicles. We took a test drive to see it in action.
And so this is what the camera module looks like. This is what actually is in the system that we're going to look at today.
Merrill says thermal imaging allows the driver to see up to 4 times ahead of the vehicle. In his demonstration, a monitor shows what the visible camera sees and what the thermal camera picks up.
In this case, you can see when a vehicle drives by, you're getting it bound in a green box. When a person goes by, it's a red box. When a bicycle goes by, it's an orange box around them.
The thermal camera won't be visible to the driver. It's part of the car's computer that tells the car when to stop. Right now, automatic emergency braking systems use visible camera and radar to tell a car when to brake. But Merrill says those tools are not as effective as they could be.
We're seeing speed and darkness being a major factor in safety of cars. AAA, IIHS, which are the folks that give the crash test ratings, they are, and even Congress have noticed all of this. And so there have been a lot of reports that basically say, and these are some of the quotes, and I'll give these to you, that the pedestrian detection performed inconsistently and proved to be completely ineffective at night.
But Merrill says those tools aren't as effective as they could be. He says thermal sensors can step in, adding to existing sensors like radar. FLIR's thermal imaging is not part of automatic braking systems yet.
What needs to happen is that basically testing standards for vehicles and automatic emergency braking systems need to be adjusted to address the cases where most people are being killed. And that's in darkness and at speeds over 37 miles an hour. So currently, they're just starting to test in those scenarios.
And FLIR says making thermal sensors a part of every vehicle's safety equipment is their goal.
All right, the exclusive 10-day forecast, 85 to 90 for our Friday. That's just 1 degree off the standing record of 88 from 1957. PM showers and storms roll in on Saturday. Could threaten the O's game there with 78. It all pushes out on Sunday. Much cooler, breezy, 65 and below average temperature. It's been a while since we could say that. For Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even Thursday of next week, could even see a chance of showers increase by Wednesday, Thursday next week, and especially hanging around Friday all the way into next weekend.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, finally tonight, we already knew the Ravens extended their lease at the stadium downtown. Now we know what the stadium will be called for the next 15 years. Drum roll, it's going to remain M&T Bank Stadium, as it has for the past 20 years. The team and the bank said it's not just about football and money.
There are a lot of companies that would like to put their name on a stadium. There's not a lot that actually fit us and our ethos.
We hope the partnership would help us connect better with the Baltimore community. Boy, has this far exceeded my expectations and our expectations.
M&T Bank pledged to continue expanding financial literacy efforts across the area as well as its community service across Baltimore. The cost of the extension through the 2037 season was not made public. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is up next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night. Enjoy this beautiful weather out there.